Are you one of these people?
People who say a fragrance is bad because they don't like it. For example,
I can't believe you like that fragrance. It just doesn't work for me.
obviously, there is absolutely nothing wrong with not liking something. But if you have maturity, you would know that your dislike for something ends with you. And that goes for me too, as a reviewer. Yes, I have many of you guys watching my videos, and maybe some of you really do care about my opinion and how I feel about a fragrance. Well, just know that even if I say I don't like something, or it doesn't move me, or it doesn't suit my taste, that ends with me. That ends with my experience. My experience can never be your experience. That's one of the beauties and the curses of this medium. It's beautiful because we will always have a unique experience. Only you can have yours, only I can have mine. But the curse of that is I can't truly share my experience with you through a camera, or even if we were in person. So if I don't like something, that ends with me. That means it doesn't work for me in my lens and my perspective, filtering through my senses. It doesn't move me, but it might move you. So keep that in mind if you don't like something. If you are in disbelief that someone could like something that you don't, consider the fact that only you are smelling it the way you are smelling it. And there's nothing wrong with you for not liking it. You can just keep it moving. If you'd like to revisit it later on, maybe give it another chance, cool, that's for you. You don't have to do that for anyone else. Definitely not for me. So, are you one of those people? How about this? People who try to commandeer a list, a fragrance list video. I see this all the time and it makes me chortle. That's a funny word, isn't it?
Chortle.
I had to look it up to make sure it was actually a word. I see this all the time in comments on videos. I'm surprised that fill in the blank fragrance is not on this list. Or why don't you feature this brand?
All of their fragrances are literally perfect. I love them.
So there's a couple of things that go with these statements. Number one, if you're surprised I didn't mention a certain fragrance in a certain video, just keep this in mind. Unless you want a video to be 73 minutes long, we can't feature everything. But if you want those long videos, let me know and I'll do a top 109 fragrances to wear to get compliments in 2022 and 2023. We'll do it for New Year's. How about that? Let me know. Otherwise, yes, there will be some things left out. Now, that doesn't mean we don't like the fragrance. It also doesn't mean we've tried the fragrance that you're referring to. Now, sometimes you might be referring to a fragrance that I have talked about and you're saying, well, I'm surprised it's not in this video. And usually the reason for that is I've talked about it a lot. So I'm trying to change it up. Yes, it would be perfect for this video, but do you really want to see me talk about the same fragrances over and over? What is the point of doing that? Yes, it'll come back in a later video, but just for the moment, accept something new. And that will come with leaving out the old for a moment. Now, what's wrong with the second statement of why don't you feature this brand, or even why don't you feature this fragrance? Again, that comes down to the perspective thing. Remember that your experience ends with you in terms of how someone else can truly perceive it. No one else can truly perceive your experience. So yes, to you, in your world, X fragrance or X brand makes perfect fragrances. They work for you. They smell amazing. They move you. They resonate with you. And that makes me happy. That's why I wear fragrances, and that's why I encourage you to wear fragrances. Seek the ones that have that effect on you. But remember, your experience is unique. Because you see the omission of something you love, that does not invalidate what you love. Love what you love. Maybe you'll see it on my channel. Maybe you'll see it on someone else's channel. But either way, keep loving it. So, are you one of these people? Here's one. People who say a fragrance only lasts 1 to 2 hours on their skin, and therefore it is trash. I've talked about this so many times. First of all, it is unlikely that a fragrance is truly evaporating that quickly, unless we're dealing with a 2% concentrated eau de cologne or something like that, or we're dealing with some extremely volatile ingredients that are just flying off your skin and disappearing. Perhaps. But I've talked about this again. In fact, I'm not going to go too deep into it. I did a video talking about why your fragrance may not be lasting. And I dig into some troubleshooting in that video. And I think it's some pretty good insight. So check that out if you struggle with this. But to say that it is trash as a result, I understand we put a lot of emphasis on performance, on longevity, on all that stuff. But how does it smell? Truly, I've seen people say, I smelled this thing in the store. I put it on my skin. It smelled absolutely incredible.
Like, I loved it so much.
But it was only on my hand for 4 hours. So I'm not buying that. On one hand, I can relate to that. I can totally get it. You're paying that money you worked hard for. You want it to feel like something that's going to go a long way. But keep this in mind. I thoroughly believe this, and this is going to sound pretty hyperbolic. Performance of a fragrance, especially when you see variation. You see some people say, I get 9 hours out of this fragrance, while others say I get 2. What does that tell you? Performance often has little to do with the fragrance itself. It's you and it's me.
It's us.
Performance is mostly dependent on us. Epidermis, this whole organ we have covering our body, the skin. What is the condition of your skin? Is it dry? Is it moist? Is it clean? Is it dirty? Keep those things in mind. Also, our environment. Is it hot, cold, climate controlled, humid, arid? All of these things play a role before the fragrance has any chance to do anything. So don't blame it all on the fragrance. Consider yourself too. We are the biggest variable. The fragrance from day to day does not change. As a trumpet player, if you don't know about brass instruments, they are extremely difficult to play in execution. In concept, pretty simple. But in execution, in terms of getting the body to do what it needs, all these mechanisms working together, it's tricky. As a developing brass player, you notice that some days the instrument feels pretty easy. And some days you feel like, have I played this thing before? Why is it so difficult? But the thing to remember is that the instrument is not changing. It's a piece of metal. It's cold until we put air into it. But we are the variable. We are what's changing from day to day. We are never exactly the same every day. There's a lot going on here in these bags of flesh and bones and blood and organs and spirit and soul, of course. Everything is contained and everything is moving and everything is changing. All this to say, consider the fact that it's not just a fragrance. Again, are you one of these people? This one. People who assess the value of a fragrance by how it gets them compliments or it doesn't. I've talked about this ad nauseum, and there's a lot of underlying factors to that make it an issue to say that, does this fragrance get me liked by other people? If it does, then it's a good fragrance. And now I feel good about myself. If it doesn't, maybe I shouldn't wear the fragrance. Again, that might sound pretty reasonable. That might sound normal. You might even do it this way. And I'm not trying to take a personal dig at you. All I'm trying to do, as I like to do in these videos, is make you think critically about why you do what you do or why you think how you think. To me, when I hear that, what I see is someone not really leaning into their own identity. People want authenticity. People want sincerity. People want you in your most unique form. However you choose to express yourself, which is hopefully respectful of others. If it's coming from an honest place, that is infectious. That is what draws people in. If you're looking to have impact like that. And I'm not talking about just compliments. I'm not just talking about people liking how you smell. If you wear fragrances for that reason, that is all you're going to get. And to some, that might be okay. But also, when you seek it, you may not even find it. A lot of the time when you don't seek it, you do find it. You know, the whole live by the sword, die by the sword thing. If that's how you're living, if that is how you're truly assessing the quality of a fragrance. Oh, I wore it and it got me so many compliments. I love it. It's like you love it because of that. But how about the smell? Would you wear it in a vacuum? Would you wear it if no one was around? Would you wear it if someone said they don't like it, even if you love it? These are the critical questions I'm talking about. Are you one of these people? And here's the final person. People who say, I would never pay more than X amount of dollars, let's say $50. That's a pretty reasonable standard threshold for a bottle of fragrance. Maybe even one that I like. I would never do that. Yet, they also refuse to save the money they would spend on 3 or 4 lesser expensive fragrances and just buy the one. So it's not about the money. Some might say it's about the value. What are you getting for your money? Now that is relative. That is subjective. That is an argument that is not worth having because no one can convince you what you should find valuable. Not even me. But I just, again, want you to think critically about why you do what you do. If we're just talking about the dollar amount, $150, let's say, to spend that on 3 or 4 bottles versus 1. Again, your bank account is being hit the exact same way. And the biggest difference is that you have more than what you need on one end and maybe just about all you need on the other end. If we're just talking about how fragrance is a luxury that we don't actually need, and it can easily become excess if we're not careful. Now, some of you definitely value quantity over quality. And as much as I'd like to change that, I know I can't. I'm just going to share my experience. I'm going to share what I believe, and that is you already know that this hobby can get out of control, and especially with redundancy. When you have a bunch of fragrances that you don't wear, we all have it, or we've all had it. You have this crop of 20 to 40 or 50 bottles or more that you simply don't touch. Why have them? This is rhetorical in a way because I know why. Because I was there. I've lived that life.
I said I was not going to try to change you, but here I am trying to change you.
Anyway, you get what I'm saying. Don't make it about the money, because obviously it's not. If you are going out and buying or even blind buying multiple cheaper bottles all at once or going to your rack store or whatever, again, nothing against that. But if you're going to do that, don't use money as the argument, because you can save. Everyone has the power to save. And it's totally okay if you don't see the value in a high quality fragrance. Maybe that's not enough. Maybe that's not worth the price. That's okay. But let's make the argument about that. Let's just be real. Are you one of these people? All this to say, it's all about subjectivity. That's the beauty of it and the curse. Once again, we all have different experiences. We're all unique. We all have our own lens, and we can't exactly share it with others so that they experience it the same way. We can try and we can get close at times, but we'll never truly be able to swap. You know what I mean? So I think if we navigate forward with this in mind, if you're always critically keeping that at the forefront of your mind when you go to type that comment saying, I can't believe you like that, or can't believe you left that out, or this fragrance is trash because it didn't last on me, blah, blah, blah. Just remember before you hit enter or click on the button, whatever, remember, oh, wait, this is my experience. I can share it. I have every right to, but that doesn't change the fact that it ends with me in my bubble. If we can acknowledge that, then we can actually have informed and respectful conversations, even online.
Imagine that.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.